It's not that the AI is going to be the challenge. It's what we as humans decide to do with the AI is the first concern, right?
What's your prediction for AI as far as cognitive, as far as like being able to think of its own reason for existing?
I think it's inevitable, but I'll put it in two camps. Okay, you may have heard recently that there's been kind of a call for a kind of a pause on AI development. Now, the person
Well, someone's
who
pushing for it. I think Musk and a few other people are pushing
yeah,
for
right.
it.
And I forget the person's name. But what it wasn't really he didn't expect it to really be a pause. He was trying to make a point. He goes, AI is going to evolve. His concern is that human intelligence is not at a place where it needs to be to guide AI for a safe outcome. Right? We've got to put it in perspective that this is a tool that can improve productivity. Productivity doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good, right? An unspoken AI arms race happening right now, which is kind of not being talked about. We've got the potential. And again, I'm not up on this topic at all, so no, by no means trying to be an expert here. I'm just sharing the concerns as a parent. Really, we've got BRICS, the new the movement towards this new global currency that is basically Brazil, Russia, India, China, and many other countries joining, the BRICS new global currency. We've got this potential rise of AI, and the job losses coming down the road. Right, they're saying 7 out of 10 jobs will potentially could be replaced. Next 7 to 10 years. I think it could be even sooner. Walmart just announced reducing 65% of their workforce by 2026, right? So we've got this news. And so I think just sitting back and just, mindfully, just kind of going about our day and just kind of generating more and more content, writing books is great. It's fun. It's exciting. But as entrepreneurs and I'm hoping people here want to be impacting the world in a positive way, we've got to take all this into consideration. And especially if you're a parent, and my daughters are 18 and 22, I had a long talk with them on Monday. I said, look, I don't want to be the parent of gloom and doom here, but we cannot just idly sit back and assume that the world that's coming, the world we're moving into is anything like the world that we've seen in the last, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, right? So you asked me a question, what do I see? Well, there's two outcomes. And I think right now, we as a human race still have choices to make. One is what I call the data outcome, right? That we can create AI that is there to support humanity to do things that we've never done before, to boldly go where no man's gone before. But the other side of this is this one, right? And right now, if you look at the unspoken use of AI, which is, and I was watching some TEDx videos going back 5 to 7 years about the military use of AI. It was scary back then. I have no idea what's really, and they always say the public sector is always behind, way behind the private sector and what's really being used.
Right.
We really don't have optics on what's really being done with AI behind our backs, in the private sector. So I don't know, Igor, to answer your question, like all the signs based on human behavior today, right? Not based on the technology, not based on the advancement technology, just purely based on where are we as a human race when we've got conflicts between America and China, America and Russia, and each country, now more focused on the AI arms race than anything else. What if this thing gets out of control, right? What if this thing becomes cognitive and starts to say, hey, I have a better way of solving these problems? We don't know, right? So the answer is I don't know. And a part of me gets very excited about using AI on a day-to-day basis. And I have to say, equal part of me is concerned with where it's going and for my children.
Yo, it's Igor. I want you to have my Amazon best-selling book for free for taking the time to listen to my podcast and to watch my YouTube videos. Now, I'm not only going to give you this book for free, but I'm going to throw in about $3.2 thousand in free bonuses. Now, if you want to get this book, please click the link in the description, or you can also go to igorsbook.com. And now, back to the podcast.
Yeah, as far as children go, I'm concerned because they're stepping into a world where the system isn't supporting them in the same way that it has to be able to be like a capable participant in the economy, in the socioeconomic lifestyle, because the school bans ChatGPT naturally, because ChatGPT makes school, well, it can make school much better, but the school system is just too afraid of it, because it fears, extinction. So, and it should be, by the way. I've been talking a lot about, me hating on the school system a lot, because it's just not, it hasn't been adapted to the world we live in. I when I was going and checking out different schools for my daughter a few years back, I actually asked every time I would talk to different teachers and principals. They would be like, "Oh, we have mindfulness. We meditate with the children for 30 minutes every week." And I was like, "Okay, well, how many hours a week do you do coding?" It's like, "Oh, we don't do coding, but they get 1 hour of computer, PowerPoint work a week." It's like, well, who cares? I can now, create a freaking PowerPoint with a keyword. I don't need to sit there and create it. Not to mention that it's not like you're going to teach them to do like a very robust, PowerPoint presentation. It seems like the school system is just stuck in the past. It's failing to adapt to the times. And as a result, our kids spending, 8, 10, 12 hours a day in that system are coming out just, they're not ready. I mean, the school has just become this overpaid. If you're sending them to a private school, I send my kids to private school. It's just an overpaid babysitter. It's just a glorified, overpaid babysitter that is teaching children to be obedient, and some basic math. I mean, that's it. I mean, every advancement that I've seen in my daughter happened as a result of extracurricular activity. All the critical thinking I'm trying to teach her, the music stuff that she's doing, the acting stuff that she's doing, the ChatGPT assignments that I'm giving her, making her read books outside of the curriculum, that are more about life and human interaction and relationships than to understand how to be cooperative with other people, and how to understand what, who people are, why they do what they do. It's truly sad. And as far as AI goes, I'm optimistic about AI. I don't believe that the machines will take over. I don't believe that we're headed to the age of the Terminator. But here's a concern. The concern is that we still can't agree on some basic shit. Like, America and Russia and China still don't get along. That causes them to be competitive with each other. And so if one of them gets a hold of really cool AI technology and the other one doesn't, then, the other one, it's kind of like the space race, right? Only the space race did not really force us to create weapons, or at least not that I know of. But AI can. AI can. Now, I still believe that the good part of humanity will prevail, and that we will use AI for good. We will figure out a way to create food that isn't fast food, that we can still feed the whole planet. I really hope we'll figure out AI. So, AI will help figure out solutions for recycling, for the environment, for space travel. I really believe so. But the concern is that they just don't get along.
It has the potential to, right? It has the potential to. And like I said, it's not that the AI is going to be the challenge. It's what we as humans decide to do with the AI is the first concern, right? And we've got to solve some of these fundamental issues. Forget putting AI aside. We've got to solve some of these fundamental challenges first. Like, if we pull together global resources, right? All of the challenges that we're facing today, lack of food, lack of water, all of these are solvable issues, right? So, AI, no AI, humanity has to just, figure out that we have this one planet to share, right? There's no benefit in destroying each other in the progress. The unfortunate thing is that until we, find harmony in that side of life, AI just enables good and bad. So again, we have that choice today as humanity. What do we do with this?
This perspective, there's no point in harming each other, can only be understood by people who have achieved some sort of financial stability, usually who live in a Western society with capitalism as one of the primary values, where they can exist and not struggle or starve. Usually when it comes to other countries and other places. For example, the places where I grew up, where people do struggle to survive, where poverty prevails, where they really worry. I mean, at one point in my life, I've seen my parents worry about where are we going to get food. That was like a concern, right? That's why we ended up moving out of Ukraine. In Israel, though, of course, it was a different concern. Israel, no one dies of starvation, but a lot of people die from the conflicts that are happening there. So it was a different, issue. But what I'm saying is, the perspective you're sharing, I shared with you today because I've achieved financial stability. I don't have a reason to hate on other people or compete with other people, because them winning does not make me lose. But that's not the case back in certain areas of the world. In Ukraine, for example, like me eating could actually mean you not eating if we live in the same neighborhood or in the same town.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been, there's a time back in 2009 and 2010 that we were going through some real challenges, and we had to like really fight for food on the table. We literally talked about this at a family meeting on Monday. So we've been through these downs, we've been through these tough times, and we've come out, come through it. But as you said, humanity will resort to very basic primal ways of being when it's backed into a corner, right? And you said it, right? We have the ability to solve a lot of these issues right now, right? So we can move forward as a race, but that hasn't been the case in the last, since World War II, right? It's still some of the same types of issues we're seeing, and AI in the wrong hands. Coming back to the conversation we started off with, AI in the wrong hands. With that kind of thinking, that does concern me. But you're right. I still believe that we can wake up and do the right thing and solve some of these global issues with this help of AI being a enabler for solutions, and hopefully not have to go down that Terminator path, basically.